Hey, what is going on, everybody? My name is Zach, but you can call me Hazardous. Thank you so much for tuning back into my channel, and welcome back to another Red Dead Redemption 2 video here on the channel today. Back at you guys with another Red Dead Redemption 2 Q&A video. This is episode 11, so thank you guys for sticking with me so far. I haven't done one in the past 2 weeks since I've been away on vacation, so I missed a week. And now we are back on the grind for the Q&A that should be coming out every Saturday. Obviously, today is a Monday. I started class, and that's kind of a quick update on my life, but let's talk about you guys. Let's answer some of the questions that you guys asked. We have 12 questions to go over in this video. For anyone new to the channel, thank you so much for tuning in and welcome. If you want to know how to get featured, just ask a unique question down in the comments or on Twitter using hashtag hazard Q&A. Do not use the and symbol because then the hashtag won't work. Please do Q and then the letter N and then A. But thank you guys so much for tuning in, and let's talk about the first question. First question comes from Usman Azar, and he asked, do you think we will have a mode similar to the director mode from Grand Theft Auto 5 in Red Dead Redemption 2? I think we will. The Rockstar editor is confirmed to be in the game, and I'm sure there's going to be some type of director mode in Red Dead Redemption 2, just like there was in GTA 5. I'm not super familiar with it, but if that's kind of like the Rockstar editor, almost most assuredly it will be in the game because Rockstar and Take-Two have confirmed that the Rockstar editor will be making a return in Red Dead Redemption 2, as well as some of the trailers were pieced together using the Rockstar editor because it was entirely in-game footage. So that's a pretty cool little fact. Thank you so much for asking your question. Question number 2 comes from Eric Estello on Twitter, and he asks, do you think we'll be able to ride donkeys instead of horses at one point of the game? I think there'll be options to ride donkeys. I don't know if there's going to be any missions or parts of the story where it's going to be mandatory. Maybe you start out with a donkey before you get on your trusty steed. Of course, if you pre-order the game, one of the special editions, you get the war horse, of course. But I'm sure we'll be able to ride donkeys just overall. I don't know if we're going to be forced to at any point. And in online, definitely, I think donkeys are going to be like the cheapest breed of horse or the cheapest mount to actually buy, similar to how you unlock the donkey right away in Red Dead Redemption Online, and then you moved up to the better horses and then the legendary mounts as well. Thank you so much for asking your question, Eric. Question number 3 comes from James Mann, and he asks, have they yet confirmed the size of the map for online? And so far, is there any mechanics for how online will work? See on hashtag hazard Q&A. Thank you so much for asking your question. So no, Rockstar hasn't confirmed the size of the map just for the game in general, nor for online, but PlayStation Access, and this is kind of what I talked about in my video yesterday if you guys want to check out the video talking about the Red Dead Redemption 2 map size. But Rockstar and PlayStation Access have said that Red Dead Redemption 2 will feature the most detailed map of all time, and that's coming from Rockstar's mouth. PlayStation Access said some pretty important information as well, and they are just fed information straight from Rockstar so they could be as accurate as possible in their gaming reports. But they said that the Red Dead Redemption 2 map will also be the biggest Rockstar has ever created. So that means that Red Dead Redemption 2 will feature the largest and the most detailed map of any Rockstar title in history. And also, there haven't been any mechanics for how online will work that have been truly officially confirmed by Rockstar, other than the fact that there will be an online mode in general. I'm sure that will be touched on in either the next gameplay trailer or the third gameplay trailer, if there is one. I'm sure there's going to be 3 parts because they're going to tease online in the second one, just kind of how they teased the missions and the Deadeye system for the second trailer in the first trailer that we saw a couple of weeks ago. Thank you so much for asking your question. Question number 4 comes from Charlie Harrell, and he asks, do you think any kind of ties with the Marston family will be made within the game? I know when we left the original game, only Jack was left, but maybe some kind of ties in the story with the family, or even some kind of mention like Lester brought up Nico in GTA 5. And so I do think there's going to be some tie-ins with the Marston family. Of course, this story of Red Dead Redemption 2 is about the Dutch van der Linde gang and Arthur Morgan specifically as our main and solo protagonist, but we're going to see a lot of John Marston, and we're going to see some shots and scenes and probably other cutscenes and different story elements featuring Jack Marston, which is John Marston's son. Obviously, he was a boy at the time. He was only 5 years old, but we may see the progression of the Marston family growing up alongside the Dutch van der Linde gang as well, even though the story remains to be talking about Arthur Morgan himself. So I'm really excited for that. Thank you so much for asking your question. Question number 5 comes from 7.62mm up your ace, and he asks, I know that we've talked about this in a previous comment in the past. Do you think we'll be able to not only hijack a train, but to be able to commandeer the locomotive, hold some type of passengers hostage, bring it to a high speed, and derail it? Also, Red Dead Redemption 2 having some type of environmental destruction, do you think we'd be able to plant explosives on a train bridge and derail it that way? So honestly, to both of those questions, I don't think we'll be able to do either. We can definitely rob trains, as we saw from the end of the first gameplay trailer that we've seen so far, but I think it's almost been confirmed that we won't be able to drive the trains. They will just be featured in the game. We can ride them and just take them to different destinations, but I don't think we'll be able to commandeer the locomotive itself. Maybe the train does go at different speeds depending on if it's hijacked or if you shot the conductor when he was speeding up, maybe it speeds up to max speed, and I don't think we'll be able to derail the train either way. So yeah, that would be really cool if we could, but I don't think that Rockstar will be doing that in Red Dead Redemption 2. We can always keep our hopes up though. Thank you so much for asking your question. Question number 6 comes from Velocity Scythe, and he asks, is there going to be prostitutes in Red Dead Redemption 2 just like GTA 5? And almost guaranteed, yes there will be. We saw prostitutes and we also saw people at the strip clubs and dancers at the strip clubs in GTA 5, and there's definitely going to be prostitutes in Red Dead Redemption 2. Where there's going to be saloons in the game, so there's going to be prostitutes. And that's pretty much all I can say about that. Question number 7 comes from John Collis, and he asks, will we be able to own an oil well for the monthly income and then be able to buy/kill to get another one to expand our business? That would be nice. John, that's a very unique question. No one has really asked me that before. People have touched on different types of DLC ideas for story and online, and that would be sweet. If we don't see that in single player, I would love to be able to do that as a type of passive or even active business in online to be able to get money, as I'm sure Rockstar is going to be taking that same type of currency system from Grand Theft Auto 5 and implementing it in Red Dead Redemption 2 Online, as that allows players to either grind the game to get the DLC for absolutely free, or they can purchase whatever the microtransaction system is and they can use that to get the DLC faster. That would be sweet. I'd love to see some type of oil well and gold mining and different things like that. That reminds me of There Will Be Blood, and that would be such a sick feature to see in both the story of Red Dead Redemption 2 and multiplayer as well. Thank you so much for asking your question. Question number 8 comes from Mason White, and he asks, will Arthur be able to have a love interest? Now, we've seen that in Grand Theft Auto 4 with Nico Bellic, where he could have a choice of 3 or 4 girlfriends, including Kate and Michelle in Grand Theft Auto 4. I think there's 4, and then there's also Kate and Michelle. Kate and Michelle, well, Michelle and Kate were the 2 people that came along, and the 2 women that came along in the story mode. First you dated Michelle, and then you dated Kate later on at the end of the story, but you could also go online and get 4 different types of girlfriends, and I'm sure that Arthur Morgan will be able to do that as well with the different prostitutes around the camp. Who knows how in detail they're going to go with that, but I'm sure Arthur will be able to take women on some type of date, either take them like to the theater or something like that. Great question, Mason. Thank you so much for asking. Question number 9 comes from Chris DeSquid, and he asks, do you think West Elizabeth will be like North Yankton area, as in you won't be able to go back there? So according to the leaked map, Chris, it seems like we will be able to access West Elizabeth from the rest of the Red Dead Redemption 2 map, but perhaps you could be right. Maybe it may be like West Elizabeth is like North Yankton from Grand Theft Auto 5, where it's a totally detached area of the map and you can only access it in certain parts of the story. But my argument for fighting that is that we've seen many shots of Blackwater in the trailers, in different screenshots and things like that, so I can almost guarantee that Blackwater and the rest of West Elizabeth will be accessible just normally. But then that begs the question of, if they include that in the game, they have to include the rest of it, because they can't keep players out of Thieves Landing and across the river, etc., etc. We've talked about that multiple times on the channel, but that's a really good question, Chris, and we'll just have to see come October 26th. Question number 10 comes from /Crazy, and he asks, do you think Rockstar will add in future gun and horse DLCs? Love your videos, keep up the good work. Thank you so much, man. I do think that there will be future gun and horse DLCs, maybe not necessarily like futuristic weapons. I don't think they're going to do that. Obviously this has to stay back in the day, but perhaps we could see time progressing. Obviously this game comes out in 2018, and if online content is still going to be coming out in, call it 2023, maybe time actually passes in game and we see, you know, more modern weapons that came out in 1904, 5 years later from 1899. Who knows? I don't know if they're going to go into detail like that. We could just see parts of the map evolve. It would be really interesting. /Craze, good question. Thank you so much for asking. Question number 11 comes from Abigail Marston, and she asks, hey Hazard, I've seen a few posts about NPCs being able to sleep in Red Dead Redemption 2. I thought this was awesome, as you can rob them or get up to mischief at night. Do you think Rockstar has gone this in depth? Now honestly, I don't know. Since it's confirmed that the NPCs are going to be having their own schedule, who knows what it's going to be like when they have to sleep. I'm sure we're going to be able to see them sleeping. Maybe if you aim a gun at them while they sleep, they automatically wake up, and then you can rob them or threaten them, or, you know, do that type of character speech and dialogue interaction using the different buttons on your controller. But I don't know if we're going to necessarily be able to rob them in their sleep. Maybe we can just loot the chests and things like that, and we have to be silent and use stealth mechanics, but I don't think necessarily we can just like pickpocket them while they're sleeping. That would be really great to see. We've never seen that in a Rockstar game before, and I would just be really interested to see something like that. Maybe at some part in the story it'll have us do that in a mission, but just like free roaming around the map, maybe there will be a function for it. We'll just have to see. I really have no clue, Abigail. I would love to see it though. Thank you so much for asking that question. That wraps up what I want to talk about in today's Q&A video. Thank you so much for asking all your questions, guys. Thank you so much for tuning into the channel. I really appreciate it. I hope you all have a fantastic day. Like I said, if I didn't answer your questions in this video, I will make sure to get around with them in a future Q&A video. Just continue to ask the questions. Twitter is definitely the best way to ask your questions, using #HazardQA, just because of the fact that I can specifically search it there. And I've told you before in other videos and previous Q&A videos that the people who ask on Twitter get priority, just because there's not many questions asked on Twitter, as you guys can see from these videos. As we get more people asking questions in the YouTube comments and on Twitter, I may make it exclusive to either just YouTube or Twitter, but for right now, feel free to ask it on both platforms. Obviously, you can see that the questions asked on YouTube, they're a lot smaller because the text goes further across the screen, so be able to fit it on the screen in the editing software. The text has to be really small and the image has to be really small, whereas on Twitter it's more of a square, so I can blow it up larger and you can see it easier. Whatever you prefer, however you prefer asking your questions is totally fine with me for right now. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. We're going to have more videos coming out this week talking about the gameplay trailer. Trust me, we're going to, Iru399, Red Dead 2 videos, and I promise you, we're going to be making more frequent podcasts about Red Dead Redemption 2 gameplay and about gameplay trailers parts 2 and 3 when they come out. We'll just have to see when they do. We're going to be talking about different features and just back and forth, you know, dialogue and conversation. We want to take questions from you guys one day, so definitely follow me on Twitter at HazardousHDTV if you want to stay in touch with me on there and get all the live Red Dead Redemption 2 updates. Also, feel free to go down in the description and click the link for the Red Dead Redemption 2 Ultimate Edition giveaway. I'm giving away 2 copies, one over on Twitter and one using that link. The giveaway winners are going to be announced October 25th, so you definitely want to hop on that. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you all have a fantastic day, and I will see you all in the next Red Dead Redemption 2 video. Adios, amigos.